Hello people of YouTube, it's Deepak here, and welcome to DCS World 2.9.20, an Eagle Dynamics Mig-29A Fulcrum module. Welcome to a quick first look video, or perhaps not so quick, where I'm going to be demonstrating this brand new aircraft available in DCS. Now, it's not going to be a tutorial or a review. I've only flown this aircraft a couple of times so far, but I think I can give you guys a bit of a tour of the aircraft. We're going to take it up for a flight. We'll run our way through the checklist that's available in the current early access manual, and we'll do a little bit of flying. No combat today, although I have done a fair amount of combat in it using the mission generator. It's been a lot of fun actually just doing crazy little dogfights here and there. Today we're carrying what is probably a fairly standard loadout for the MiG-29. I've got R-27R missiles on the two inner pylons, that's pylons 1 and 2, and I've got 4 times R-73 infrared guided missiles on the outer pylons, which are pylons 3, 4, 5 and 6. Pylon 7 is the center line. You can carry a fuel tank there. Let me just double check. What can you, in fact, carry in the center line? Yeah, a fuel tank or smoke generators. We're not carrying any of that today. Also, you'll note that I've got the very nice Syrian Air Force skin on this aircraft today, or livery, if you will. And we're flying out of, now let me have a go at this, Muwafaq Salti, which is actually in Jordan. So I've perhaps chosen the wrong livery, but there's no Jordanian livery for the aircraft, so this is the best I could do. And look at that tire bulge. It's nice. Anyway, let's jump into the aircraft. We're going to do a right shift and P to hide the pilot's body for startup, and I'm also going to hide the stick while we go through our first parts of the startup. I'm using the checklist that you can find under normal procedures in the early access manual. Today we have the English cockpit, which is selectable under special options. I've also got my avionics language set to English, and I have units set to metric, because that just feels right in the MiG. Setting it to knots and feet just seems a bit wrong. Anyway, first thing we do, if you've watched Wagsy's video all about this, you'll know, but I'm going to do it my way. We're going to flip on the main battery switch, and at that point we want to check our voltmeter down here, that we are indicating 28 volts plus or minus half a volt. So that's 5, 6, 7. Yeah, we're actually reading about 27.5. That's probably close enough for our purposes. So at this stage, we can go ahead and flip on all these switches in the electrical panel. We can do that with the little frame, and you're going to hear the inverter and various other things start to spool up. At this stage, we can go down to the aircraft system power switches, and we can turn on navigation, standby gyro, main gyro, and aircraft systems. They can all go on, and at this stage, we're going to start the timer, and we're looking for about 40 seconds for the gyros to be at speed, and at that point, we can get a stable heading indication. While we're waiting for that, we can go ahead and wind the radar altimeter. I'm going to set 200 meters. Oh, this is saying feet, in fact, so that's a bit confusing. The radar altimeter is indicating feet. The main altimeter here is indicating meters, so that's a bit strange. Anyway, we can run the self-test, and we can confirm that we get the expected indication. That is, what is the expected indication? Checklist should tell us. 45 feet is where the test mark is. Actually, yeah, it should basically move to the test mark, so that's totally fine. At this stage, we would do a bunch of other tests with regards to the lamps and so on. Actually, let's do the lamps test, just for a bit of fun. Lamps test switch is, I don't remember, here? There we go. Lamps test is on. All of the lights, all of the many lights in this cockpit come on, and everything's looking pretty good. So at this stage, we can release the test. I think we've ran beyond the 40 seconds now. Yep, we have. So let's go ahead and hold down J and 9, and we should see that our heading references spin around, and they're now indicating the correct heading. We're supposed to hold this for between 10 and 15 seconds. It seems to actually be up and running within just a couple of seconds, so I'm going to release now. If you had to do that manually, it would be the push button here, magnetic heading slave button, and here, the compensation, the course computer 0 button. is the button here on the navigational panel you would hold down. Excellent. Okay, at this stage we can go ahead and cancel master caution. We've got double hydraulic system failure and damper off indicated on the lights. That's all totally normal and expected. Ecran, we're going to run through its self-test. Long press the ecran call and we get self-test on the display. We're going to wait for that to complete. Shouldn't take too long, and then we know the ecran is ready. Ecran ready. Perfect, and we could cycle it back to, yeah, the current warnings. We have boost hydraulic system warning, we have main hydraulic system warning, and back to boost hydraulic system. Okay, that's fine. We're going to check the voice system. Bingo, bingo. Okay, confirm navigation system is activated. We're going to set waypoint, and we're going to make sure it's in number 1 position. We should see the fat pointer move when we do that. Actually, the fat pointer is staying as it is, but we are getting a miles indication. That's good. That means that system's working. We could test the standby gyro by flipping the switch to standby, and we should note that there's no movement. There is indeed no movement. We can set a manual course heading on here in case our systems fail. So I'm going to set manual, and I'm going to move the course to, what do I want, 307 for our runway here today. So let's just wind that down to the correct one. And then that means even if everything kind of breaks, as long as we have the gyros, we can flip that into manual. For now, put it back into automatic. Okay, quick brake pressure check down here. Okay, we're in the blue zone, that's good. And the hold brake, also in the blue zone, that's good. That's completely normal. So, at this stage, we can go ahead and flip the navigational system to operate, and we should see fast prep in green. That means INS alignment has completed. Now we can go radio, record, and IFF on. I'm not going to run the ACS or the weapon system today, and then AFCS can also go on at this stage as well. Let's bring the stick back, and we can then monitor the automatic flight control system going through its tests. So we're expecting to see the damper off flash, and we're also expecting to see this damper light here flash. Panels going through a quick power on. That shouldn't take too long. Actually, now that I think about it, I'm out of sequence. I wasn't supposed to do that. AFCS should remain off until after engine start. So that's me being silly. So, in actual fact, let's go ahead and close the canopy. I've only done this like once before, so my muscle memory is not there. Okay, and I've not seen anyone else doing this, but I'm going to put my nav lights into flash, because I feel like we should do something to warn the ground crew that we're about to turn the motors over. At this point, it's very, very simple. We can simply hit ground start after we move the throttles into their idle positions. So, right Alt and home, right Shift and home, the two throttles are now in position. Hit the ground start button, and we're going to get right engine start followed by left engine start, completely automated. You should even be able to see, yeah, the right engine fan blades in the first stage are turning. I can see them. I'm also supposed to arm my ejection seat at this point, which I didn't do. That's it now armed. You can see here that the FOD door has closed on the right engine. That's it all up and running at pressure. I'm assuming these doors are pneumatic. Left engine's turning. FOD doors closed, and we should see the louvres on the top are open. That's all indicating pretty much normal. We got the HUD and the HDD displays come on. That's pretty good. Okay, excellent. And we've got some good green lights. Our trims are all neutral and the fuel unit is in the takeoff landing position. Damper is indicating off. We can now put the AFCS on, and now we should notice flashing damper off, and we'll get stick movement as it goes through its built-in test. Okay. This shouldn't take too much longer to complete. Is there anything else I've got on my checklist here? I was supposed to do a trim system check. I'm not going to bother. Pitot heat can go to on. So pitot heat's over here. On it goes. I've already done the voice system check. At this stage, I could tune my navigational instruments. I've manually programmed an RSBN on channel 21. We can see if that's actually going to work. I don't know if it will or not. I don't really know how this system works fully. And I also tuned an ADF on preset 4. I also don't know if that's going to work. But we can at least flip this to RSBN. Yeah, we're just getting a spinny needle right now. That's fine. If we have it to the RSBN, it is indicating a relative bearing to the RSBN, so that's good. I'll leave it on ADF anyway. So we've got waypoint and waypoint number 1 selected. We've got the heading correctly selected manually. And yeah, we could switch the navigational channels into manual, and that would then pop us into channel 21. That is actually indicating a relative bearing, so I think that's working. That's good. Pop it back to automatic, and I think we can leave the navigational system as is. That's all looking pretty good. Radar warning system goes to on. We could run the self-test at this stage. Okay. I guess that's okay. That's all good. We're going to check what the Ecran has to say. It wants us to extend flaps. We're going to go ahead and do that. We got indications. Externally, slats and flaps have deployed. Let's actually go full down. Yeah, full down and partial down, there doesn't seem to be any difference. I'm guessing that's because of weight on wheels. So let's pop it back into up. And Ecran is going to be upset because it wants flaps for takeoff. We need the flaps to be up, though, so that the nose wheel steering button will function. Also, it's not in the checklist, but I'm going to do a little thing from the MiG-29, because I have experience from that. I'm going to put the nose brake to off for taxiing. In the MiG-29, because it had differential braking, that would allow you to do tighter turns. I have a funny feeling it has no effect in this aircraft, but hey, the control is there, let's use it. Okay, so everything's looking pretty normal. We would normally power up the ACS and weapon circuits now, but we're not going to do that. So let's go down and just make sure that everything looks normal. Actually, our trims are wrong. Why are our trims wrong? Oh, there we go. Okay, stabilizer trim is now in neutral. Where's the aileron trim? Neutral. Huh. What is going on? Oh, wow. Okay, there it is. Aileron trim is now neutral. Okay, I don't know how I had that so far over. It may be the case that if you move the stick while the damper self-test is running, then it messes up the trim. I would not be surprised. Okay, taxi light can come to on. And let me just scan the cockpit here and make sure that I've got everything else correct. I've got the correct channel on here. This is good. Yeah, makes noise. That's what we want. We're going to leave the radar off. We're going to leave the system in nav master mode. Oh, for some reason it reset the waypoint. There we go. We're back to waypoint 1 now. It's indicating a distance. I think we're good. I think everything else that needs to be on is on. Only things that I have off are ACS and weapon switches. That seems pretty good to me. Alrighty, let's make our way. So I'm just going to advance the throttle a little. Oh, okay. So much for a little. Test the brakes. They do in fact seem to work. Let's make our way down the taxiway. So again, today I've got the aircraft configured for metric. So we are indicating kilometers per hour on the top left of the HUD and altitude in meters. While we have a P displayed, that means the altitude is actually coming from the radar altimeter, And I think the P just disappears when it's barometric, but I can't exactly remember. I guess we'll figure it all out. And yeah, we've got the kind of weapons panel here. We've got Master Arm. We can put ourselves through different master modes, but these are not going to do anything on the ground. We're going to leave it in nav for today. And yeah, I don't think there's really much else to do. I need to remember to put the nose wheel braking on before we depart. Let me check the checklist as we go, see if there's anything else exciting that I need to know about. Takeoff is typically performed at maximum throttle. The afterburner may also be used. Okay, I think today we're going to do a normal takeoff. So you'd normally lower the flaps, make sure that your indicators are normal, start the stopwatch. I'm not going to do that. Make sure the fuel unit is in takeoff landing. It is. Hold the run-up brake trigger, so we don't hold the normal brakes, we hold the run-up one. And go to max power, and then off you go. Okay. This seems pretty straightforward. Retract flaps, retract undercarriage. Okay, so not really, nothing particularly out of the ordinary. We're just going to make our way to the end of runway 31 here. Again, this is Muwafaq Salti Airfield in Jordan. On a lovely, warm, autumnal day. And we're going to take taxiway Alpha 1. I actually have a Virpil stick with a real kind of Russian-style brake lever, so I'm feeling very authentic right now. I'm actually able. I'm just ignoring my toe brakes because, of course, the muscle memory is there to hit the toe brakes. I don't have them configured to do anything. I need to remember to use the lever on my stick, which is a little bit out of the ordinary. But hey. Okay, let's get the center line. Yeah, when you get used to it, it's actually fine. Okie dokie, request takeoff.
In field 1, request takeoff.
Okay. Nobody's replying for some reason. Fine. Then I guess I'll just take off. Yeah, I'm holding the run-up brake now. And I'm going to advance to mill power. Off the run-up brake, and away we go. Oh, and I forgot to re-engage the nose wheel braking. That's it back on. Okay, I'm going to let it get to, I don't know, 220, 230 kph? I'm not even sure what's a good rotate speed. It feels okay. Yeah, it's coming off the ground. I don't want to do much more than 10 degrees nose up. That's it. Up we come. We're unstuck at about 340. Gears coming up. And I should really have mapped the... Oh, I took off without flaps. There you go. That's why it was a little bit stuck. Oh well. Yeah, we're going to come to the right on course. And let's get the aircraft nicely trimmed. That seems okay. And we're going to bring the throttle back just a touch. Okay, this is good. This is good. This seems easy enough to fly. I'm inbound waypoint 1. Let's fly towards that and see what we get. I'm also going to set the ADF on, because I do have the ADF, I think, tuned. And I would like to see that pointer actually do something. Let's see. But yeah, first impressions, it flies quite nicely. It's a little bit twitchy, but not too bad. You can trim it. Yeah, I do have a little bit of wind today, so we are getting blown very slightly off of course. The acceleration indicator I kind of like in the MiG, so while the pointer's in the middle here, we're kind of maintaining speed. If it goes to the left, we're decelerating. If it goes to the right, we're accelerating. And yeah, of course, vertical speed is indicated down here in the combined instrument, as is pretty standard for Ruski stuff. So, yeah, let's get ourselves inbound waypoint 1, and then we'll decide what else we want to try out. I would like to also demonstrate a landing, and then I probably won't do too much more than that, actually, today. We don't want to make this video go too long. But yeah, impressions, it's feeling pretty good. You'll see my spinnies are not spinning. I think they're on the WCS. Let's bring that on. Yep, with the WCS on, we have spinnies. Oh, actually, and it's not until we get the WCS on that I get the navigational circle. That's interesting. I was wondering why that wasn't indicating. Oh well, let's in that case, let's power up the weapons as well. When I powered up the weapons, flare ready lit up as well. So, okay. So you need the WCS for navigation, and you also need weapons if you want to actually have defensive systems. That's interesting. Okay, we have a combined chaff and flare program right now, it would seem. So yeah, this is really easy. With the system in nav mode, you're really just putting your center cross inside the circle, and you will overfly the waypoint doing that. So nice and simple. What else do we want to demonstrate? We have a visor. For some reason, the visor's not coming down. Oh wait, I pressed the wrong button. That's the visor. Okay, that's nice enough. I have noticed that in VR, the visor is strangely reflective. We'll bring that back up again. We have the helmet-mounted queuing system. And if we actually put the system into helm mode, we get symbology. So there you go, that's that. It's all very nice. Let's hide it away again. Put ourselves back into Nav Master mode. So, you know, this is a very, very easy aircraft to operate. If people are looking for, well, obviously, if people are looking for somewhat modern Red Force, or if they're looking for, that was me pulling the trigger to the first detent, by the way. So even in nav mode, pulling the trigger to the first detent immediately gives you a gun funnel. That is actually very clever. But with the arming switch off, it won't fire. Cool. Yeah, very, very simple to operate aircraft. If you're looking for modernish Red 4 and you're looking for an aircraft that's going to be easy to learn, I think this is the one, because, you know, the MiG, this version of the MiG was designed to be very, very simple. It was designed for export customers as well. So customers that might not have the time or the money to particularly train their air crews to a very, very high standard. But honestly, you don't need very much training at all to be able to fly this thing well. And it's very, very capable in a dogfight, of course. Very, very good in a turning fight. I've done a bunch of stuff against F-15s, F-16s, F-4s. One-on-one, it can just about beat anything in a turning fight. Well, against the AI. I'm sure if you're fighting against a competent enemy, it might be a little bit harder. But yes, it's very, very good indeed in a fight. And as far as operating it goes, it's pretty simple. I'm having an easy time here. So if we switch back to RSBN and we go to manual, it should, I was expecting it to indicate back towards my original airfield. It has not done so. Okay, so there's obviously something I don't understand. Let's put it back into auto and let's choose Aerodrome 1. Okay, that did work. Right, there we go. So, I'm doing something wrong with the ADF and the RSBN with regards to manually tuning, but that's okay. We'll figure it out. Let's arm the aircraft up. I'm sure you want to hear the gun. Nice brap sounds. Very good. And let's get some speed on. I'm going to go into burner, and we're going to climb. Effortless. Pretty much effortless. Need to actually trim forwards a lot, just to hold the 20 degrees that I'm aiming for here. Very, very nice. Okay. And yeah, down here you've got your Ruski style fuel gauge with your lights warning you that certain tanks are closed, empty. You've got this estimate for range, currently showing 110 nautical miles. You can flip it between your current performance and what would be the optimal. It doesn't seem to change that number, I'm pretty sure it should. And then we also have this switch here for fuel quantity in tanks 1, 2, and 3. And then this other mode is consumption calculated by the computer. I don't understand what the difference is there. But either way, it's not actually seeming to make the numbers change, so that is perhaps not implemented, or I don't understand how it works. Both are equally likely. Wow. We're going fast. What's the Mach indicator saying right now? Actually, where is the Mach indicator? Is it behind the stick? Yeah, unhelpfully it's behind the stick. But yeah, I think I'm indicating about 1.5 or something like that right now. It's not a good position for that to be. I can't see it when I'm flying, unless I hide my stick. Anyway, let's go all the way back to idle. Now, at this speed, the air brake will not engage. Oh no, it will. Okay, that's interesting. I must have slowed down enough that it will engage. Note the air brake is a pull and hold. So I'm holding the air brake switch just now, and then if I let go, it will always immediately close. That's the way it's set up. That's our airfield up ahead. I'm wanting a landing heading of about 307, so that suggests to me that we're facing the wrong way. So I think we're going to have to make left-hand traffic, I guess. Now, I don't actually understand how the RSBN, PRG, blah 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 stuff actually works. So sadly, today we're going to do a completely visual landing, but that's okay. We're real pilots, we can do this. If I can make this, you'll all be thoroughly impressed. I think that's the airfield up ahead. Perhaps it is not. It has to be somewhere out here. Okay, I'm going to cheat a little bit and take a quick peek at the F10. Yeah. Yeah, we're flying head on towards it. Oops. Pulled a bit hard. So it should be basically on the nose. I'm going to try and pass right-hand side of the field and then make left-hand turns. I don't know what the correct pattern altitude is, so I'm going to aim for something around about 700 meters. Feels somewhat appropriate, I don't know. It doesn't bleed off speed too fast. Runway's in sight. So yeah, seems to be a fairly slippery airframe. This is good. Right, I'm going to pull the air brake and get the speed under control here. Okay, we're below 500. I feel like once we get to about 450, I can get the gear and flaps out. We'll drop the gear now. I should really have mapped these flap controls. We're going to give it one stage of flaps. Okay, there's the runway. That looks okay. Let's fly just a manual landing here. I'm not doing a run-in and brake or anything else clever. I'm just doing it as simple as possible. Oh, and before I touch down, let's actually very quickly check. I don't have it mapped, but what's the chute? Drag chute launch is P. Actually, I guessed that because that's what it used to be in the old days in Flanker and such like. Anyway, let's start making our way around. And let's also drop those flaps fully. What does that look like? Looks kind of like that. Nice. Okay. Now, I always give myself the excuse that I'm doing this in 2D mode when I would usually fly in VR, so please be generous when you judge my landing. Because it's so difficult to judge the turns and so on. There we go. Okay, not terrible. Not 100 miles off. Okay, we're sinking, I think. Yeah, let's give it a bit more. Okay, so I feel like I want to be flying the approach at about 300. Quite a nose-high attitude. If I was sensible, I could have fiddled with the seat height, I think, but I'm not. Okay, I'm on the pappies. Surprisingly. Let's get on the rudders. I should have done that earlier. There we go. Okay, this feels okay. Landing early. Shoot us out. Okay. That was fairly uneventful. I've not even touched the brakes yet. Have not even touched the brakes. Let's, where's the chute drop? It's down here, isn't it? I'm going to crash off the runway while I'm trying to find this. There we go. Chute is dropped. And there we go. Gentle pull of the brake handle. And we're stopped. Okay. Well, there you go. First attempt, not too bad. So, what do I think? I think it's really, really nicely modelled. The exterior is very pretty, so is the interior. The systems are basic, but then they are in the real aircraft, so it's pretty good. I feel like for early access and for release day, this is actually very, very good. No real complaints at all. And I've not come across any particular bugs or anything. I am aware that in multiplayer IFF is currently not working, but I believe that ED have a first week patch that's going to address that. But yeah, really not had any troubles with this at all, and it's a lot of fun to fly. So, yeah, there you go. That's the Eagle Dynamics Mig-29A Fulcrum. Go and check it out. Fly safe, everybody, and I'll see you next time.